Hello guys, welcome back to Writer's Tales. Last Adventurers. This is the fourth adventure, the fourth story. This is called Feast of the Seven. So, we're in space now, we're on an alien planet we are. So the story. So, many years ago, there was a planet that had been sort of overthrown by 7 elder gods. And mainly because of their ways and their beliefs and stuff, they end up slaughtering most of the home of the inhabitants there. And what happened is they end up being killed. They've been executed. They've been put in tombs and exiled onto another planet. Of course, well, buried on another planet. And this planet, known as Time Realm, is an ancient planet filled with an ancient temple, barren deserts and stuff. It only holds a couple of temples, it does, on this planet, solely on this planet, nothing else, because it's more of a graveyard church thing about it. And it's like, these people, maybe like the dangerous people, like people who maybe like the dangerous rulers or something like that, are laid to rest here. And they're basically sporadic around on this like orangey sand desert planet, really. So that's really like sort of a prelude to what to expect from these things, of course. But also we open with another thing that sort of is sometimes may recur in some cases in the stories, is them having the protagonists having picnics, of course. Sort of an English thing. Very British English type style thing, like they end up in one place, they have a picnic, of course, and end up getting ruined, or if it's been being interfered with stuff, really. In this case, they're on the planet Time Realm, just in a rocky bit area, just having a picnic and stuff like drinking ginger beer and everything else, eating sandwiches, pork pies, whatever, and the sort of thing is like, why are we here? Well, it's decent, it's quiet. You can see some interesting stars and suns and stuff, like interesting sky and everything, but there's nothing else here. There's nothing that is ever alive here. That's until when we get a ship, which is basically a holiday company who goes around, like a holiday tourist company or whatever, and they fly around different galaxies, they do, to different planets, of course. And what they've done here is they've dumped off partygoers, like teenagers, like on a spring break type thing, and they're basically dumped on this planet. They are mainly because the company found out that they've been causing mayhem and stuff on the planet and causing vandalism and everything else, and decided to dump them on here, of course, for a good week or two, or just to see if it'll die down or whatever. So, and that ends up ruining the picnic, of course. When it's nearby, the ship lands nearby, and they're so blown away into the rocks they are, into the sand, or buried in sand, really. And so the picnic is ruined. They sort of come to this and you think, what the hell are you doing? It's like, you've interfered our picnic, you've interfered our lunch and everything else. They don't care, really. They said, well, we didn't know, we didn't see it, nothing picked up on the tracking screen, nothing picked up on anything else on the computers. Why? So they just don't give a shit, really. And the partygoers themselves, they are crazy, drunk, sex-addicted people. You just love to party and everything else, and just have a good time, just cause chaos, really. So it's like, it's like a massive nursery of toddlers just running around, just breaking shit and everything else. It's like that. So they basically, the protagonists are stuck with these partygoers, these spring break partygoers. That's until a sandstorm comes in, and it's like a very, overlooking, one of those dangerous sandstorms. So they end up seeking refuge in a temple, one of the temples on the planet. While they're in there, what do you call them? They're like co-eds and stuff like that. They basically start playing music, doing party games, getting extremely drunk, and quite a few of them end up, a group of them end up wanting to have sex, of course. The interesting thing, of course, they end up in a crypt. They found a crypt they do and think, okay, we can just have sex on these flat tombs, whatever. And in doing so, it causes, I don't know what it is, like a weird sensation or something like that, or like the thriveness of, you know, of a promiscuous co-ed or whatever, and it awakens the 7 elder gods who are banished and been executed and exiled. And in doing so, while they're having sex, they fall through in the tomb. It's like a trapdoor. Like you stand on a trapdoor, you fall into it or something like that. In this case, it's sort of different because they dissolve into blood. They do. Like in doing so, I think it depends how you do it. Like either the man or a woman, depending which position they are in, they end up getting the back stuck. Really, like the back is sticking to them, like if someone's put glue on a big slab of stone, really. And they can't get out, and they're basically all stuck, really. Like they're stuck there, and then they sort of pulled in, and they start disintegrating or melting into blood and organs and stuff, and that sort of soaks into the tombs. So it's like if you sort of sacrifice them, they've sort of been sacrificed to resurrect these elder gods, and they're quite freaky as well in terms of design, something like Guillermo del Toro type style, really, fantasy art type style. Very creepy as well, you know, that sort of thing. So they end up being awakened, and shit goes down. The temple is overrun by some strange dark forces and little like weird mini things, of course. Like what do you call them? Like those little bits, like little goblins or dumpy alien dwarf things, of course. Like little minions, ghouly type things, and they end up sort of massacring most of the co-eds, of course. Some of them survive, some of them take them on. Some of them are taking the sacrifice, depends on which ones really, to be honest. And if they take, you know, and some are used for a feast. They are like turned to food, like into a banquet, like a major squalid, bloody banquet for them, for some, you know. Because I think it's the first time they've ever tasted human flesh, so it's like a human flesh banquet, really, that they sort of operated. Some of the high class, some of the main people, like the main co-eds, like who sort of like are sort of the main gang leaders. You know, the honey, you know, what do you call it, like the queen bee, and also the jocks, you know, the handsome the ones who are basically like, you know, the top notch douchebags. Very much, they end up being sacrificed. They do to. What's the thing? Like use their own blood to create an army, and also make the temple base operations or their own kingdom very much. So in order to do that, they take many human, like a lot of humans, party humans, take all the blood, drain all the blood, of course, maybe eat his, you know, have it in feast or be sacrificed. Also, it sort of makes the planet a bit more deadly in a way. Like it's very hellish and everything else, and that's really what it really is. And yeah, and the protagonists have to really face up to them, really, because this is the fourth story. They really have to face up to these like elder gods. I mean, they are different and otherworldly than them as well. So it's quite an interesting battle, really. You know, trying to trick them with stuff like magic as well, trying to fool them just like being witty and goofish sometimes. That could be one thing, like being a bunch of idiots, really. That's the sort of thing. Like say, and also say, oh, he wants to be sacrificed, and this guy is just screaming his head off, like he's in a panic and they're so restrained. And you think, oh yeah, he really wants to, and they're playing with the gods. They are trying to think, you know, he wants to go, and they trying to get somewhere with him. I think, you know, it's like, yeah, they can be like that sometimes, like being, the protagonist being in a manipulative type of state, really. But it's just an interesting idea, really. Interesting thing that they somehow do that as well. There's all recurrent elements, you know, like to say, oh yeah, they sort of, you know, they try and put someone forward who think, oh yeah, he likes someone to be on the front line, trying to be first one shot or something. That sort of thing. It's like, oh yeah, he wants to be sacrificed, doesn't he? You say, oh yeah, yes you do, yes you do. You told us, you secretly told us. You think you've had enough of this time. You know, you're an alcoholic and everything else. It's like you can't get love or anything. You know, it's pretty dark stuff, really. But he ends up surviving in the end, really. That guy, really, he sort of briefed them and then he goes off. There's no really no companions in this story, unfortunately, largely because the protagonists work on their own in this one. Sort of like distaste and a bit miffed with these partygoers, really, that sort of thing. But it is interesting. I mean, this is the fourth story in the series. Originally part of the fan series as well. This was another one that was for a fan audio series, along with Britain 89 AD, Blacklight, and Revolt of 1857. So it's another one of those. It's never been changed actually. So it's one of those. It's a story that's never had no future, have no changes at all. It's always remained the same. This one. I think quite a few have actually remained the same. This one is really. So that's Feast of the Seven. That's number 4. That is The Last Adventurers. Thank you guys for watching. As always, I'll see you for the next video. See you later.